I'm Lillian Vasquez, and this is Inland Edition, our new public affairs show for KVCR TV. A year ago, due to the pandemic, 91.9 KVCR created a new radio show, Inland Edition, with its primary focus on everything COVID-19. Now we're bringing that show to you on KVCR TV. But this version of the show will be more than just the pandemic. It will cover a variety of topics that face our community. We'll speak with experts about important issues affecting our region and beyond. So on this first episode, I'll speak with Heidi Arthur, Chief Campaign Development Officer for the Ad Council, about their vaccine campaign, It's Up to You. Later, we'll hear from Joseph Williams in conversation with San Bernardino County Supervisor Joe Baca Jr. But first, my radio conversation with Heidi Arthur.
As the COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions. And that's normal. So for the latest information, visit getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you.
My guest is Heidi Arthur. She is the Chief Campaign Development Officer for the Ad Council. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So the Ad Council has launched a COVID-19 vaccine education campaign, It's Up to You. When building a nationwide public service campaign, there's so much to consider, planning and all that you're trying to accomplish. How did this campaign come together?
The whole campaign came together because we knew that we were facing the biggest public health crisis in our nation's history, and it really required, a very large-scale communications effort to really meet the moment. So the Ad Council has a very long history of, tackling the most pressing social issues facing our country and really convening many partners to really, do their part to get the word out and drive impact. So in this case, we started to see, a need to have unified messaging and to try to preempt any sort of patchwork approach, knowing that, the pandemic was just filled with lots of missed messages, lots of misconceptions, and we wanted to do our part to really have a cohesive, unified campaign out there to provide, clear information to the American public.
So let's talk about the focus of the campaign and the messages being conveyed.
Yeah, the focus of the campaign is really educating the public on the information that we know they need. Our research showed that 40% of people in our country are, unsure if they're going to take the vaccine when they're eligible, to take it. And we also saw that there was a real gap in information, particularly within communities of color, where fewer people felt like they had the information that they needed to make the right decision for themselves. So for us, it was very important that we get in there with the right partners, with the right message, with the right messengers to bring information to people so that they could really feel empowered to make the right decision for themselves.
So as an educational campaign, that's what you're trying to do, educate the public and all the public to know and make the informed decisions. What was your message and who did you decide? How did you go with your focus? Who were you trying to target with your different messages?
Yeah, so the message, of course, we engaged lots of experts from the public health community, as well as did consumer research ourselves. And what we learned very, early on, and it was very clear that people have questions and we needed to normalize it. And we needed to really have empathy for it. So really helping people understand that it's okay to have questions and we have answers, and there are credible resources out there that speak to the safety, the efficacy, any concern that you might have on your mind, and then really tapping into that emotional desire that people have to get back to the human connections, the people and the moments that they miss so much. So that essentially is the framework for the overall message strategy and platform. And It's Up to You was a really empowering message for people. We weren't telling people what to do. We were putting the choice in their hands, but importantly, giving them the information they needed to make that decision.
So there is a population that feels it's the right thing to do, it's the thing to do, and they feel comfortable with it. And then we have a population perhaps that is skeptical because they're uninformed or they're skeptical of vaccines in general. What did you hear when you were doing your research?
I think, there's lots of different reasons, and it was very important for us to really consider the cultural differences. For many Black Americans, there was, deep-seated distrust of government institutions, of medical institutions, and we had to really, put information out there that's answering the top questions that were on their minds, in terms of clinical trials, who was this tested on, really understanding, what we know about the long-term impacts or any side effects that they might experience. So the barriers were really around, really having, some real concerns, but also not having access to real clear information, and then potentially just hearing a lot of misinformation out in the public.
Right. So when we talk about the top questions and maybe the African American community, did they want to know if people that were in the testing groups, that there were Black people, Hispanic people, all colors of people being tested, and wondering how that showed up with them?
Well, I think, there were questions around how the, vaccines were approved, how they were tested, what were the potential side effects, is it safe? There were a lot of concerns around overall safety. So being able to assure people that the vaccines are safe and effective, by having really, credible resources available to them, we're really, in a good position to start to build trust in the vaccines. So our website, getvaccineanswers.org, really draws on the expertise of all of the content that's available through the CDC. So they vetted all of our information. So we're really serving up, to people in our country, the right resources for them to get accurate answers to the questions that are on their minds.
Did you do a focus group on these spots, and what did it show?
Yeah, we did focus groups, and we also did, some quantitative testing as well. And we shared it with, community leaders to really make sure that, we had diverse perspectives, on the creative itself. And basically, the creative was really empowering, this notion of showing true empathy for questions, true understanding that people are hungry for information. And then importantly, tapping into that desire to really get back to the missed moments, the people, that human connection, was very powerful. And we also knew that, from the focus groups, at the core of it, people want to protect themselves and their families first and foremost. So the campaign itself was really shown to be really motivating, relevant, believable, and it struck, the right balance of information and, emotional inspiration.
With the focus group or those that you questioned and have seen the spot, were there any spots of the campaign that really rose to the top that people really got behind, believed in, and what spots were they?
Yeah, I mean, how it starts really, again, leans into the questions and really normalizes that, of course, it's okay to have questions and we have answers. And that really struck, the right rational chord for people where they're really hungry for information. And then being able to see, scenarios where people are, back having, getting back to family reunions, going to places of worship together. People were really inspired by being able to look to a future where those human connections are going to be back, for so many that miss them so much.
Now, your organization has done ad campaigns for years. How long did it take to put this together?
We worked very quickly, but we didn't skip the critical steps that are essential to, really effective campaigns like this. So, we started our work back in November. I think everything right now during the pandemic has been done, at a speed that we haven't experienced before. But I think it was really the power of the network of our partners stepping up, wanting to jump in very quickly to offer resources, to offer talent, expertise to really get this done well and get it done right out of the gate. Plus, we had, a big network of experts that we've been tapping into every step of the way.
When you go to the website, it's getvaccineanswers.org. There's a plethora of information, right? But I feel like it's really easy to navigate, and it's in many languages. So tell us describe a little bit about the website itself, where people can go now and get this information.
Yeah, so the way you described it is exactly how we hope people will find it to be, that it's chock full of information, but not overwhelming, where you have to dig through to find what you're looking for. The campaign itself is very much focused on, the first step is to get the knowledge that you need. And then we feel like this website really delivers on that. So it's designed so that it includes the top questions that we know are on people's minds, and we'll be updating that regularly. As you said, it's available in 7 languages, knowing, the different cultures and the need to really, have, content out there for everybody, as well as video content. We know that healthcare providers are a really trusted voice for so many. And we have, on that site right now, healthcare providers just answering questions, talking about their views on the vaccine so that people can hear firsthand from a healthcare provider. And it will also include, in a couple of weeks, a vaccine finder, from vaccinefinder.org, so that people will be able to zip code search and find, access to vaccines in their community.
I think that's a big one right now, where people are just struggling. In some areas, it seems to be so easy to get to, and other areas are just struggling. Some of our seniors are struggling because, one, they're not on the internet. They use the telephone or they read it in the newspaper. So it's the finders, finding the locations and going through the process seems to be a really strong topic right now, where people are frustrated.
Yeah, and we understand that frustration, and it's very real, for many people. However, this campaign is really meant to provide people with information. And we know that, it takes time for someone to make this decision. So it's important for us to get out there now, with getvaccineanswers.org, and importantly, with the messages of, inspiration that we know are really helping people feel like they want to be empowered, to get the knowledge that they need to get the vaccine when they are eligible and have access to it.
You talked about, and you briefly mentioned about some of the media and corporations, partners that are working with you. What has been their role, and who are some of those businesses or corporations that have been a part of this campaign?
Yeah, we've been just truly overwhelmed and inspired and just grateful for the tremendous support that we've seen, within our industry. So we have major brands, we have media companies, we have tech platforms that have really stepped in to support this initiative, including Verizon as well as Google. We also have, Facebook and Instagram, NBCU, iHeartRadio, many partners who have stepped up, who are, not only donating time and space on their own channels, but really taking our campaign framework and our open source brief and messaging and creating custom content that's really, designed, for their channel to really speak to their audience. And we end up having, this tremendous amplifier effect where everybody, is working off of that same song sheet, which was really, the vision for this initiative, back in November.
Because it's a PSA, and you've dealt with this for decades, commercial stations are required to play PSAs at some point, at some time on their airways. It's one of the FCC rules. So how difficult has it been for the council? And I think you kind of said it. It's been pretty good, meaning maybe with some other ad campaigns you may struggle to get play, but it sounds like you might get some good airtime with this campaign, and I think it's because it's affecting every one of us.
Yeah, we've seen tremendous, support for our work, in general overall, but particularly since the pandemic was declared in March. We've been out there messaging on social distancing, which was not part of the vernacular a year ago, and, really educating people on the importance of masks, as well as, important messages around mental health. And we've had over $400 million in donated media from our industry. So our expectation is, and based on, the number of partners who have already said, I'm in, what can I do to help? We do know that this message will get out there at scale and really reach the intended target audiences.
Well, I know here at our station, KVCR, we're in and we're here to help as well. Finally, what is your greatest takeaway? What do you really want the public to know? Not just about this campaign, but in general. What's your takeaway that you want the public to know?
We really want the public to know that there's hope, that we're all in this together and we can get on the other side of the pandemic. And importantly, there are resources out there to help answer the tough questions that are on your mind. And we're truly hoping that, the website getvaccineanswers.org gets out there loud and clear. And, this campaign, has a significant, what we're calling ground game, that there are, community organizations, faith leaders who are well equipped with answers and messages that can really help people feel empowered, to get the vaccine when they become eligible.
GetVaccineAnswers.org is live now, and you can go there and see what we've been talking about. Heidi, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. I hope the campaign goes well.
Thank you so much for having me today. We really appreciate it.
That was Heidi Arthur, Chief Campaign Development Officer for the Ad Council, with their vaccine campaign, It's Up to You. Up next, it's Joseph Williams, San Bernardino Community College District Trustee, in conversation with recently elected County Supervisor Joe Baca Jr.
Hello, I'm Joseph Williams, member of the California Community College Board of Governors and trustee of the San Bernardino Community College District, where we oversee San Bernardino Valley College, Crafton Hills College, and KVCR TV and radio. Today I'm here with County Supervisor Joe Baca Jr. of the 5th Supervisor District, overseeing the cities of San Bernardino, Rialto, Colton, the unincorporated area of Bloomington, and the unincorporated area of Muscoy, and the city of Fontana. Joe, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on your recent election. You have a distinguishing feature or fact about yourself of being a former student here at Valley College. Do you have any just memories of being a student here and what that time was like when you were a student?
Well, thank you for the question, Joseph. What's interesting is I've been part of the San Bernardino Valley College family since 1979, when my father was elected to the community college district. So I have a lot of memories. As a kid, he had us going to board meetings. He had us going to athletic events, college functions. I got to know a lot of the staff here. The great thing about this, I had many people positive that influenced me. So when I was here, one of your colleagues was a big influence on me, and that was Frank Reyes. He was actually my counselor.
Okay.
And then Gloria Macias Harrison, another one of your colleagues, was my Spanish teacher for 2 semesters. So those have been people that have had positive influence. But back to the Valley College family, my mom graduated from here. My father actually handed her the diploma.
Oh, wow.
So that was fun. My memories, playing baseball here, a lot of great memories here. Had a great team. Stan Sanchez was our baseball coach at the time. He was a big motivator. And I learned a lot about hard work, grind, and then just never giving up. But probably one of the most memorable moments was actually receiving my diploma from my father here. Okay. So he was on the community college board. He handed me my diploma. So a lot of good memories here at Valley College. And I just think community colleges are a great opportunity for families to save money, but also try to figure out, where they're at in life. So a lot of good memories here. I've been part of this family for, over 40 years.
Well, welcome home. We appreciate you being here. I received some questions from, just several of my constituents, and I want them to get a good understanding of the role of a county supervisor. But when you think about students and families in the county of San Bernardino, and the challenges that they have, what are some of the things that you would like to work on to solve it? And just if you can share in that question just the role of the county supervisors, just so people kind of know, what a supervisor does.
It's interesting you asked that question because most people don't know what a supervisor does. They're responsible for the county budget, and the budget is about $7 billion.
Wow.
And about 75–80% of it is passed through money. In other words, it's come through state and federal grants. But some of the important things that I feel is important for the 5th District is, people don't realize that the county is responsible for preschool services. So one of the challenges we have right now is preschool's not open. They're doing some distance learning, but their enrollment is down 80%.
Oh, wow.
So getting those kids back in school, getting the teachers back in school and getting those kids. And because it's such a big challenge, many of the mothers have had to quit their jobs to stay at home with these kids because they don't have anyone to watch their kids. So education plays an important role. So preschool services is important to me. Workforce development is very important to me. I know it's part of the program here at Valley College, but making sure that we get people properly trained, but at the same time getting them to jobs and doing some tracking. One of the programs we're working on is to help veterans get employment, but a big thing for me is making sure they're veterans from our community and making sure we're really focusing on kids in our community. The Board of Supervisors is responsible for 75 departments.
Okay.
75 departments countywide, from the sheriffs, from probation, court services, social work. So a lot of different programs that we're responsible for. But one of the things that's important to me is, getting folks employed, getting people employed, making sure that they can take care of their families. Within workforce development, we have people that have had challenges, and we want to make sure they can get past those obstacles, whether it's an expungement program. Those things are very, very important. But a lot of times people don't realize what government's role is and all the services that are available to them. So really trying to expose our community to many of these services.
Yeah. You've hit the ground running. You really haven't stopped from your time on the City Council in Rialto to now, and it's just been a continuation of your body of work. As we think about the pandemic and, we think about the positive cases, predominantly they're Black and brown people, our community. Those are our students. And just thinking about the vaccine, is there anything more that we as colleges, government institutions can do to better inform and provide information about the vaccine and the safety of, and just kind of getting the word and trying to get more people to get vaccinated?
Sure. Vaccinations is important. And before I go into the vaccinations, I really want to talk about also testing.
Testing.
Because the reason why testing is so important for our communities is because, one, our families are staying at home, having to quit their jobs and take care of their families. But we need to get more positive, in other words, negative tests out there. The reason why is we want to get to the red zone, eventually get to the orange zone, and drive those numbers down so we could get our families, our communities back in school. For affluent communities, they're going to do okay. Our communities, we have challenges because many of our families have to work. So making sure that they can get back to work, they can take care of their families, and get our kids, which are many times in our communities behind the learning curve, so getting them back into school is very, very important. The vaccines, there's always that fear. And I surveyed many of my students before I left the classroom, and a lot of them were just fearful. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not comfortable. Well, I think we just have to get people to get over that misnomer that they're uncomfortable with the vaccine. Is that, look, it's positive for you. It's going to get people healthy, and we want to start to bend that curve and really get people back to somewhat of normalcy. But especially for our communities, we need them working, and we need our families back in school and our families working.
Yeah, indeed. I have a 4-year-old at home, man, and homeschool is giving me a greater appreciation for teachers and what they do. Shout out to teachers. Shout out to the work that you've done as a teacher, because, as parents, I can't imagine how single parents are doing it. I'm blessed that I have a wife at home that can help, but it's a lot, and so sooner we can open things back up, I think it'll relieve a great deal of stress on folks.
And you bring up a good point. So one of the ideas I had is, it looks like that we're trending towards school beginning back in the fall in our communities. One of the things I consider trying to push the county to do is to put people from the Department of Public Health in many of our schools. Because one of the challenges is going to be the socialization.
Yeah.
People are just really having a hard time with stress and depression. So I think we're going to need people for our kids to turn to and talk to and go through. They're going through many challenging times. It's hard. It's putting a lot of pressure on families and our kids. So I think that's one of the ideas I consider doing, is bringing Department of Public Health, maybe having them participate more in our schools, have a greater role in talking to our families and our children.
In your mind and in the work that you're doing, as a supervisor, you all oversee the Workforce Development Department. What do you think our students and just, people in the county should be doing now to train themselves for the jobs that are coming in the future, so that we can begin to, see folks having those livable wages so they can have access to, like we said, just fruits and vegetables and, things that maybe cost a little bit more money?
I think a couple things is we need to encourage our kids. I see a lot of things I saw as a teacher is low self-esteem. People don't realize how talented they are. A lot of these kids are sharp and smart, but they got to have that confidence and self-esteem. I think it starts there. We got to be more encouraging in our schools, but let them realize that there's many opportunities out there. And I think right now with COVID has become the biggest challenge is people are just staying at home and getting comfortable. and breaking that level of comfort. So the transition out of COVID to back to the workforce, it's going to be a challenge. And you're getting these kids to understand, like, look, man, there's opportunities out there. But knowing these opportunities out there, like, we have a great fire program which kids can get trained, and it's paid training, and realize that there's good opportunities in the fire service. We met with the fire department, and one of the things we're really pushing is for them to start to push for more diversity in the fire service. It's not very diverse, so we're trying to put money into the budget to make sure that they do that. It's a good career. I mean, Crafton Hills has a great program there.
State-of-the-art, yeah.
State-of-the-art program, and those are programs that our kids have to understand that are out there, but they don't know about these opportunities. So I think we have to, like you said, get into these communities and tell them, look, there's options out there, but you got to, sometimes be aggressive. You got to be patient, and it's not instant gratification. It's a grind like anything. You got to put in the work, and just getting our kids to understand that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah. We appreciate your time and just for coming out, for all of the work that you're doing. If there's any ways that we can partner with you and partner with the county, let's have those conversations. The audience, they want to contact your office, work with you, find out more about what you're doing. What's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, they can call our number. We're available on the website. And if they ever have any questions, concerns about county issues, any challenges, we're more than willing to answer them. One of the things I try to stress with our office is good customer service and constituent response. So making sure we respond to them adequately, whether it's a phone call or email, but they can look on the county website and contact us if they have any county questions or just any questions in general. One of the things we encourage is check our social media site. We're trying to encourage the vaccines. There's what they call a JIC center, basically a call center where people can call in and schedule their vaccines. And if they're having a hard time getting them through, they can get us their number. We can forward it to the JIC center, and then they will call them as soon as a vaccine appointment is available.
Okay. Well, thank you again for your time. Thank you for all of the information that you've given us. To the audience, I'm Joseph Williams, your representative here, San Bernardino Valley College. Just spent time talking with recently elected County Supervisor of the 5th District, Joe Baca Jr., and we hope that you all enjoyed the information and will take advantage of it. Thanks again for you being here, Joe.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's our first episode of Inland Edition. Watch for more Inland Edition on KVCR TV coming your way. I'm Lillian Vasquez. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.